So, for the last 3 weeks, I have been doing something that has given me my spirit back, my core essence back, essentially, energy, feeling my best again. And I will get into why, maybe I haven't been feeling my very best. It essentially feels like I have found a missing puzzle piece when it comes to claiming my vitality again. Sometimes on the healing path, we hit these little dips and valleys and plateaus, as they call them. It's been about 7-ish years for me, really a decade that I've been centering my lifestyle around healing chronic illness symptoms. A lot of that was early on and since have distanced into maintenance and ease and effortless keeping up of this lifestyle. It is a beautiful invitation into just deepening into yourself. So I don't say that from like a fixation standpoint or a neurotic standpoint. This is just a beautiful, easeful part of me when I talk about that history. That all being said, again, there are some relative dips and valleys, highs and lows. And there have been some circumstances in my environment, in my home, that have led me to feel a little less than optimal that I've been putting together over the last couple years, especially during the winter months. I have locked in something brand new that I'd never done before. It is something I've done consistently now for 3 weeks, and it is just bringing me so much genuine joy. It's bringing me back to myself. It's making me excited to share from a deeper place. Like, it's something that I really want to share with people I love, with you. I know it's going to help people. It's not revolutionary. It's something that people are doing all the time. So we'll get into what that is, but I want to share what's been happening to me since I've done this. Given the amount of vigor and energy this has brought to my life, I'm very shocked because it's something that has been minimal lift, minimal effort, minimal resources, really, when I consider the return on the investment of my time, energy, money. I get so much more out of this than I have to put in. And that is the beauty of a perfect habit, a habit that you can really lock into. Not that habits are supposed to be easy, but they're supposed to give you something really good in return. There's supposed to be an organic drive in terms of coming back to that intrinsic value that you hold. So this has that for me. That's part of why this is exciting to share and talk about right now. It's been so easy, it's been so minimal, and the results have been like a millionfold in terms of what I put in. These are some of the things that have happened to me in the last 3+ weeks that I've been doing this very consistently every morning. I have lost a ton of inflammation in my face. Like, when I go to shower and wash my face, I can just feel a lot has flowed out from the nasal passages, the under eyes. I can feel my cheekbones again. It's not like I have had weight to lose or that I looked bad, but there was some puffiness going on, and there's some reasons for that. So that has happened. My face is like seemingly feeling back to baseline, back to normal. It's a good feeling to have. No one wants to walk around feeling like they don't recognize themselves. I spent 3 years in that type of place, and it was not fun, and it was very disembodying. And so to be kind of pulled into those familiar feels has been interesting. So to know I'm in total control, to know it's easy to get that inflammation to go away, that's really powerful. Another thing I've noticed, I do have dense breasts. I have fibrous tissue in here, and whenever I am operating at my finest in terms of lymphatic system, drainage pathways, the dense tissue in my breast really dissipates. So this is another thing I've noticed that has been huge. For me, it's always a really great sign of health and that I'm on the right path. I do have a history of breast cancer in my family, so it's something that it's near to my heart, literally. It's something I'm always trying to check in on, be aware of. So whenever that is happening, it's like a 2 thumbs up. So along those lines too, my skin is super smooth. I've noticed just a lot of relative bumpies, roughies, dryness, and even cellulite in my legs has just kind of melted away with this protocol. And my stomach is very flat. I have lost some stuff. And again, it's all relative. I'm a small person. I put on a little bit of weight and I lose a little bit of weight. I'm fluctuate, but there was some stagnancy and some waste to lose. So when I say I lost weight, I lost waste. This is absolutely about cellular waste that was kind of building up in my body. It has been very effectively and pretty gently purged and moved out in the last few weeks with this protocol. And it is felt like it is a powerful way to move waste out of the body, to move toxins out effectively. And I have felt that firsthand by some of these results that have been kicking up. And that's just how it works, that's how the healing cookie crumbles. Excess weight is just inflammation and, in a sense, waste. So, following up on that, my digestion and my elimination is amazing. I've always had great digestion and elimination on this path, but again, there's certain hurdles that life throws you, and sometimes, we get a little off the path. And for me, it doesn't take much. I have relatively sensitive detox pathways. When I was getting blood work when I was sick back in like 2015, I was told by naturopaths that I did have gunky detox pathways. It's a huge foundational reason for some of my chronic illness stuff. I know this is kind of blowing up in popularity right now to look at detoxification pathways and how everyone's kind of genetically different. I have some thoughts on that, but it's for another video, probably another time. I've been shown to have that. And so I know that my lymphatic system sometimes needs more space, more babying, more cuddling, just in a really gentle, tender way. So knowing that is important, and it makes perfect sense that I have relative seasons of getting a little bit backed up or feeling stagnant. This process in particular, I can tell, has freed up bile to be purged from my system in a more effective way. I can tell that bile flow was becoming sluggish or maybe not optimal just by what's been happening when I do this protocol. Okay, we won't get into the nasty details of why I know that, but that to me is very exciting. It's very exciting to have eliminations and feel like a different person afterward. So something is happening, something is changing. If you know anything about the relationship of toxins and mold and pathogens and bile flow, you know that it's important to have this system working really well for you. So I gotta say, I think this is the biggest payback in terms of what I know is happening inside my body, kicking up regular bile flow, healthy bile flow. It's really been a huge, huge result. So in turn, I have a lot more energy, of course. I feel lighter. My days just feel more deeply sustained by my own organic energy and excitement for life. And that's a really special feeling to anchor back into. So we're going to get into these juicy protocols, and stick around because I'm going to tell you a little bit why I have been having relative symptom creep, why this protocol would even be necessary for someone who seems as healthy as me or is as healthy as me. I just got some blood work done, so I can confirm I'm in really good shape. But yeah, there's been some things in my environment, some things in life that have contributed to relative sluggishness, relative symptom creep. And I know better than anyone the first signs of that, the first warning signs of that. So I'm going to get into, a little more personal details on that at the end of the video. So this 9-minute habit is a morning dealio. I wake up and get immediately cracking on 16 ounces of lemon water. This starts my day with rich hydration, a great profile of vitamins and minerals. It purifies the system, assists the liver, supports other detox pathways, and it's just an incredible way to balance your system upon waking. Especially supportive for someone with digestive, skin, gallbladder, or biliary tree issues, and even parasite issues. I use spring water from a local spring that I get delivered monthly, and I make sure my water is warm. So as I'm finishing up the lemon water, I start to prepare a bunch of celery for juicing, and this usually ends up to be between 10 and 16 ounces of celery juice, just depending on the bunch. Celery juice is a game changer. It's just the real deal for radically changing your digestive health, bolstering elimination, and just for ridding chronic illness symptoms in general. I have known this for a long time, but this is the first time in years that I'm taking it up every morning again in the way it's recommended by a medical medium. Next up is a liposomal vitamin C shocker. And I will take 2,175 milligrams of C here. That's 3 capsules of this brand. So see how I'm taking advantage of my time. I'm stacking these routines, multitasking. That has been a really helpful way to get her done, as they say. So while I am using powerful medical medium protocols and combining them, there are some slight adjustments I'll mention that I've made to his recommendations. I don't wait 15 to 30 minutes between my lemon water and celery juice, and I also don't end up using a full cup of water for my sea shocker. Okay, celery juice is ready. This is a perfect practical demonstration of how the Nama J2 is so next level to just be able to do multiple things at once while a juicer juices for you. It revolutionizes my life. I have been thoroughly enjoying this delicious salty concoction every morning, and I rinse my celery in warm water so it's not cold. This season I have done a lot to make sure my system isn't overloaded with cold, which is a TCM principle for dampness, and it seems to be serving me quite well. So back to the C shocker, as I like to call it. Vitamin C is a neutralizer of free radicals, okay? It impacts nearly every single system in your body. We know it strengthens the entire immune system, but it especially aids your killer cells that go after viruses, bacteria, yeast, mold, etc. It also flushes EBV toxins right out of the liver. I feel like I have actually felt the power of this exact mechanism. So once I add the powder from my vitamin C capsules and mix it with a couple ounces of warm water, then I add my glucose uptake kit. In this case, it's a little maple syrup. Then I stir it all up into a delicious bittersweet treat. And I will add anywhere from a quarter to a whole orange, just depending on what I'm working with in my fridge, in my kitchen. For me, this part is like dessert. It's a great way to put a cap on this habit. I love this part, and it just really keeps me coming back. High doses of C have been around for a long time. Many natural health practitioners and people use this as a gentle but powerful antiviral, antibacterial, anti-cancerous tool. And so there she is, the quick 3-part habit that is bringing so much light back into my life. So let's revisit my health update, talk a little bit more about what's been going on in my world. So this last winter, it's been a little hard on me. And when I look back at the last few years, each winter has gotten a little bit harder on me. I live in a place where the winters are relatively harsh. It's pretty cold. It's not what I would call ideal. And since I was originally dealing with chronic illness stuff, winters have always been really hard for me. If I'm not getting sunshine, I can feel things change. And so it's kind of a matter of waiting that period out. Sometimes it's harder on me, sometimes it's not. I am a fan of supplementation, and I don't shy away from that. So I know what I need in terms of vitamin D and all that. But this was kind of going beyond that. Like a couple years ago, I noticed every time I was under our HVAC system in our home that is 120 plus years old, I was feeling sick. I would get puffy eyes and flushed, and my throat would feel like it was swelling, and I just felt like feverish, fatigued anytime I sat underneath our vents. So to make a kind of a really long, convoluted story short, there were signs coming out in our home that let us know mold is here. There was even a actual outbreak in the wall, which shows evidence of what I would say is a chronic drip. To just sum it all up, this is a water damaged building. It's 120 years old. You're pretty much guaranteed a water damaged building. There's signs of that all over this house that, before I felt anything, I never would have noticed. Wish we could stay in that territory of blind ignorance because it was bliss. But things shifted after I got that little thing that was going around for the last couple years. Very interesting. There are some articles and some professionals out there who are drawing some really interesting connections between getting that little thing and reacting to mold in different ways, and also tapping into dormant EBV, Epstein-Barr virus levels. So I think all these things kind of created a perfect storm to bring me back into, hey, like some of the history and constitution of my body. There's a lot there that you can get into, a whole rabbit hole, a lot of other intersectional syndromes that can loop into this system as well. I would recommend not going down that rabbit hole if you don't need to. Discovering all of this led me to realize that my lymphatic system was dealing with a load that was unlike what it had been dealing with before. So it was just another invitation into a deeper layer of self-healing and, getting closer to myself and my body in the ways that I still always need to be devoted to it. If I were to compare some of the stuff I've experienced the last couple years in winters to my original onset of chronic illness syndromes and symptoms, it doesn't even compare. Back then, I was dealing with debilitating daily symptoms and I was not very functional. I mean, I put on a really good face, so I guess you could call me high functional back then, but the symptoms and the way they were ruling my entire life were very different than now. But it still was an interesting thing to go through, and I don't want to downplay it either. I think a lot of people are going through really serious stuff right now. There's some really interesting things that have just happened over the last 5 years that make health and healing and viral loads in particular just more nuanced, more complex, and maybe much more frustrating for people too. So if you're one of those people, my heart goes out to you, and it's totally why I'm making this video. This has moved the needle for me so dramatically, I can't help but share it.